I love the work that I get to do. Sometimes it goes to another level where I'm actually blown away by what comes out on the other end. Because when I use found objects like I did with Clay's portrait, something comes out on the other side that I never would have been able to plan. And I love it that way. I see God's hand in portraits like Clay's because of the way that these objects come into my possession. I'm able to find a way to rearrange and renew these things that were once cast off and tell a story that is so much more than I can do on a regular piece of paper. I want to tell you about Clay and meeting him and what this portrait is now doing in front of our eyes that I'm so excited about. I met Clay in Texas, in Amarillo, Texas, at Faith City Mission. I didn't know I was going to meet him that day, and I didn't know I was going to have these objects in my hand. But I found this hymn board, and I found this book that I actually get right here. It's called My Do and Learn book. It's like a 50s children's activity book. But I took a risk because I knew, well, God does really wonderful things when I take risks. And I put these two things together to create Clay's portrait. These are two things that I found on the grounds of Faith City Mission. I found it in a warehouse where there was all this stuff that either people who were checking into the mission dropped off, and this is all their stuff that they didn't know what to do with anymore as they went into the missions program, or it was stuff that the rescue mission didn't really know what to do with. It was like searching through someone's garage. I started with the sketch, the very rough sketch, just spending an hour with Clay, and what I learned about Clay is that he is on a journey to become the father that he never had growing up. He has a daughter who is 4 years old right now. Not having a father growing up is what sent Clay into his search for fulfillment in all these things that he says were empty, ultimately. As I sat before Clay, I learned that he is so full of kindness, such a gentleman. He is so polite, he is so kind with his words, and yet so strong. I noticed a man who had a deep capacity to love and a deep desire to be loved. And he is so excited to be able to be reunited with his daughter. She's being taken care of by grandma right now, and he had tears welling up in his eyes, just describing to me the last time as she came to visit him at the rescue mission. And his story is one of completely flipping the cards that were dealt to him. These clippings from this storybook, out of the 100+ pages that I sifted through, I found certain clippings that actually told Clay's story. So as you move up and around the left side, you see this journey that Clay takes of being a boy who's searching for love, and eventually he becomes homeless, and eventually he doesn't have a place to live. But this ladder and this feather and this extended hand are a representation of that transition moment for Clay, where he finds Jesus. It says, now he is Father. And this is right under the cross, right next to the Lamb, which represents both that Clay becomes a father himself, and also God as Father to Clay. And so it comes down the right side, and this side is representing Clay's life today. And it's also a vision into the future to encourage Clay for who he wants to be. See, this is a picture both of Clay as he is now in his heart and soul, and also a future projection of who he is becoming in Christ. And that's why these beams of light are around his head, to just say so evidently, Clay, you are a radiant son of God. You are a father who is following in the Father's footsteps. And that is so beautiful. And down the right side, it says, Father comes home. And did Father run away? No, he did not. Father is at home. And you have these pictures of a father with a young girl sitting at a dinner table and sitting at home. And at the end, it's a picture of a butterfly, which represents transformation. And you have this gate at the end, this open gate where Clay's foot is stepping into who God is calling him to be. I never could have coordinated this. I never could have told a story as beautiful as these objects tell. And it just feels like a grace of God that He is part of this, bringing these things into my possession so that I might tell powerful stories. And with any recycled object, we're telling the story of redemption. We're telling the story of being made new, showing right before our eyes how these things which some thought were junk, trash, forgotten, are actually treasures with immeasurable worth. I'm excited that Faith City Mission is going to be able to tell a story of what God is doing in their midst for decades to come. As this hangs on their wall and tells Clay and all of his family and all of the community of what God is doing through his story, I know that so many people are going to be encouraged about who our God is. He is a father to the fatherless. He brings hope to those who are lost. And to a man that felt like his life was all but lost and forgotten, he in Christ is now finding the courage and the strength to be able to be this father that he so yearned for. He's responding to the pain of his past and making a commitment to love his family with everything that he has, despite all that he's lost. Clay's story is especially meaningful to me right now because we are expecting our second daughter to be born at the end of January. So our whole life right now is just immersed in this time of anticipation and excitement and planning for our family to become a family of 4. So we will have 2 little girls running around our house this next year. And I know my number one ministry above anything and everything is to be present as a father with my 2 daughters. And you know what? Clay is inspiring me toward that purpose. So ultimately, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your support, which allows me to create relational portraits like this that I hope and I'm confident are revealing and unveiling the Spirit of God in our midst. I am so excited to see what God does with our vision to raise up 22 more artists this next year to make portraits like this and speak into the soul and mind of people who are looking for God and trying to find Jesus in a suffering world. These works of art tell those testimonies of a God at work.